Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Primetime Carolina, where your Carolina Panthers are 1-5 and have the number one pick in the draft of the season in it today. Dave, what's going on, brother? How we doing, man?
Getting excited for that number one pick, man. The season fell apart quicker than usual, so here we are, back at the bottom, where we've seemed to live for the last few years.
Yeah, I will say the only benefit to having your season over quickly is your Sundays become a little bit more open. So, someone wants you to do something, you're like, yeah, I could step away from the TV for a little bit, no big deal. And you're probably going to get the satisfaction that you would from watching this team.
So we're talking Jacob Eason. This is must-see TV. What are you talking about? You can't
I'm
step
in.
away from that.
I am in.
From fifth-string practice squad quarterbacks.
I've got so much I want to say, so much to talk about. None of it's really negative because I don't want to come in here and just be negative. I mean, obviously we know we suck. It's very easy to say that, but I want to talk about some positive. There's a couple positives that I do see despite this team being 1-5. But yeah, yesterday we played the Rams, and thank God that these 4:00 game stretch is over. It sucked. I hated waiting. I was okay with it the first game, but after last night, I was like, I'm so tired of playing 4:00 games. I'm over it.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of that. The 1 o'clock feels like a long enough wait. But I got to say, man, with my enthusiasm in this team going down so much, it didn't hurt to wait as much today as it did 3 weeks ago. Or excuse me, yesterday.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because a couple of weeks ago, at least we were like still kind of waiting to see if something was going to happen. And then, once Rule got fired and season was kind of, it was kind of like, okay, whatever, I'll wait. I don't care. But yeah, so I really don't have too much to really say about this game, other than obviously the Robbie Anderson fiasco and shouting out a couple people that I thought played well. So we'll start with this, so everyone knows, obviously, Robbie Anderson has been traded to the Cardinals for I think it was a 6th and a 7th round pick, or was it 5th and a 6th for 2024, 2025?
7th sounds right to me. 2024, 6, 2025, 7th. Wait.
Yeah.
Good God.
So
2025 is right around the corner. That's wild.
Hey, man. Crazy. So, I didn't expect the Panthers to get much, but, they got something, and I think that's, better than nothing. It's really bizarre seeing this kind of happen on the field. The guys, like, deep down, they're really pissed off. They're frustrated. Their frustration, their anger's coming out. But a lot of these guys are professionals, and I'll give them kudos. I mean, they've done a really good job of keeping it together and not letting their frustration show live on TV. But Robbie Anderson, he's always been one to kind of let his feelings be known. And I guess yesterday with wide receiver coach Joe Daly, he was letting it be known that he was upset he wasn't on the field, and they kind of got into it. Anderson kind of, got in his face a little bit with his helmet on, and Steve Wilkes, he had enough, and he sent him to the locker room, man, and he was done for the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I mean, Robbie said he felt disrespected. We don't know what happened. We probably never will. As far as what was said or how it was said, but it seemed obvious that Steve Wilkes wasn't necessarily just going to keep him in the lineup the way Matt Rule did. Seemed like he wanted to get some reps for some other guys, and obviously that's something we've been talking about for a while now, how Robbie Anderson needed to play less snaps. This is a guy who really shouldn't be playing more than 30-40% of the snaps anyway. He's just, he's not a game-changing player. The Panthers got a lot of young receivers who need to get in there, see what they got. And now, obviously, there will be plenty of reps to go around with Anderson getting traded out of town. So, I don't really have hard feelings towards him,
What
it is. I mean,
I don't
I'm
either.
Glad he's happy. He's out of town. We got something for him. I mean, it feels like it worked out for everybody, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I never was the biggest Robbie Anderson fan, but I wasn't his biggest hater. I feel like he could do some good things. Unfortunately, his biggest threat was being a deep threat, and the Panthers have never had that really since he's been on the team. I mean, even when Teddy Bridgewater was here, that was his best year. That was his first season on the team. He had a really good year. And sure, he struggled with drops, and then this year, he had a good game week 1, and then after that, that just was kind of it. And the Panthers have not been able to get it going offensively. So I don't necessarily blame him, but he wanted out. Panthers are trying to evaluate young talent. It's a win-win for everybody. He goes to a team that's, I mean, they're struggling for help on the wide receiver end, and the Panthers have some young guys that they're trying to see get some reps and see what they got. So, it's a win-win for both teams. I agree.
Yeah, and honestly, it always felt over the last year and a half or so like Robbie Anderson was kind of in over his head as far as what his role in the team was and what he's capable of contributing. And I'm not saying that as like a knock towards him. It just felt like Matt Rule wanted to give him a bigger role than he was built for. Looking out for his guy, it always felt that way to me. He gave him a big contract. Well, I guess he didn't give him a big contract, but he was part of a leadership group that gave him a big contract, and I'm sure he had some say in that. Being we know how much control he had when it came to personnel and things like that. So, I mean, it is what it is.
So Robbie Anderson's gone. We will evaluate our young receivers. Terrace Marshall Jr., Shi Smith, some of those guys, see what they got and see if, their guys want to roll with the future, can step up, or if they're just going to be kind of, bottom of the roster wide receiver guys, and we need to make some room. Other than that, it really wasn't the worst game. I did expect the Rams to win. Our defense did look solid. Now I want to talk about one guy. I did make a prediction earlier in the season that Derek Brown was going to be my kind of come out of nowhere player, which I wouldn't really say he came out of nowhere. But this season, man, I got to give Derek Brown some hype. I have given him a lot of crap the past 2 years. I really have. But this season, I know we're 1-5, but just watching the games, dude, Derek Brown is blowing up everything. He's blowing up double teams. He's getting in the backfield. He's stuffing the run. He's making play. I mean, dude, he's having a really, really good year. And it really, really warms my heart to see him play so well. I feel very proud.
Yeah. And shout out to Matt Ioannidis, who's also having a good year next to him. He's seems to have really helped bring out the best in Derek Brown.
Correct.
And, I've said it before, a few weeks ago. Derek Brown's a guy who I felt like it came to a point where I was the only one sticking up for him. And then as soon as I was like, all right, Derek Brown, I can't keep doing this by myself. I'm going to have to join the haters club. Literally the next week, he started stringing together all these games. I'm like, damn it, Derek Brown. You couldn't have done that 1 week earlier so I could have looked smart. But as soon as I jumped off the bandwagon, he started balling out. So I guess he was just waiting for me to become a hater. And now he's balling out, and I'm glad to see it. So you're welcome, Panthers fans. I brought the best out in Derek Brown by turning on him.
It's good, man. I mean, he's been one of my favorite parts to watch on this team. Despite being 1-5, I do enjoy seeing him play so well. And for a guy that was drafted in the top 10, sometimes we see these defensive tackles and they just, your Aaron Donalds of the world, and some of these guys just pop immediately. You forget sometimes D tackles. They do take a little bit to really get into rhythm, and it just took Derek Brown till really his third season, and he really is looking like a top 10 pick that we picked him to be. So
Yeah.
I think it's great. He's going to be a cornerstone of our defense. He keeps us up, and I'm glad to see it, man. Like you said, Ioannidis, he's done a really good job. I will say this: despite us being 1-5, other than week 1, after we got ran all over by Nick Chubb and those guys, our run defense has been really solid. They'll give up a run here or there, but for the most part, they are much more equipped to handle the run than they were last year, and they're doing a much better job. And it's that inside those defensive tackles, man, they've done a good job.
Yeah. And I've never been slow to be hard on the defense because I look at how much talent's on that side of the ball, so I really expect them to be a very good unit. But they deserve credit this season. They've been put in a really tough position, and they played as well as they possibly could given the circumstances. The offense is just a complete joke right now, and it's there's
Yeah.
nothing they can really do with that. The offense has to help the defense, and they just haven't done that at all this season. And now there's all these injuries on defense, just making it worse. But overall, they're doing all they can do. This team is very likely going to be picking top 3, if not, the way this season's unfolding and the way the schedule looks, it's hard to imagine them not having the first pick, or at least the top 2 pick, going into the draft.
Yeah.
What I saw on Sunday was, it felt like I guess it was because the coach just got fired and there was an interim coach in there. It felt like I was watching a team that was ready for the offseason. It felt like I was watching a team that had a top 10 pick and it was week 16. It felt like a team that was done with the season already. And I guess I understand why it would feel that way, but I've just never seen it. I've never had that feeling this early in the season.
Yeah, it's tough. We're used to the past couple of years, especially, getting down to, kind of the end of the year, Panthers, we're not going to make it. These last 2-3 weeks, we're just going to evaluate and see what happens. But for it to happen so early, it's just like, man. But, I guess I try to view it as a positive to see, like, hey, we can evaluate much earlier than we could later on in the season, giving guys 2-3 weeks as opposed to giving them another, 10 weeks or left. They've got a long ways to go. So it is good to see guys evaluate early, but it is very weird to see a team kind of, I'm not going to say they're packing it up, but it's very tough to be in that locker room right now with a winning mindset. I don't care who you are. It's got to be tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they just saw Robbie Anderson get traded. And I kind of want to see what your opinion is on this. There's been a lot of talk about a Panthers fire sale, trading away a lot of some of these players. Now, obviously, we just saw Robbie Anderson go. From my point of view, Robbie Anderson is one of 2 players it makes sense to trade to me. I don't understand the idea of trading away any more young players, especially a DJ Moore, Brian Burns, Derek Brown's another name that's been up there. These are all guys who are still young, still probably haven't even reached their prime yet. If you're going to draft, hopefully, the next franchise quarterback this offseason, you're going to want to have some type of team around him to give him a chance, especially at the wide receiver position with DJ Moore. Robbie Anderson, it made more sense to trade, not just because of the on the field stuff, or excuse me, the off the, I don't know, on the sideline. What would you call that? Not on the field, not off the field, the on the sideline antics.
Yeah.
All that aside, it just made sense to trade him, given his age and where the team's at, having younger guys behind them that they need to get into the game. To me, trading away all of our good young assets for draft picks doesn't make a lot of sense, because I think this team is still talented. And really, once you get a quarterback and a coach in here, you're going to have a shot to probably not win a ton of games, but at least go out there and put a decent product on the field and be competitive. So I don't think it really makes sense to get rid of all your best pieces. A rebuild is necessary, obviously, but I don't think you need to completely burn it down and build it back up from scratch.
I have never, and I will never, understand this whole Panthers need to trade everyone and start over. Okay, even just think about this. Even how bad our team is playing right now, if we had any semblance of an offense, we'd still be in the thick of it for the division. Our division is that bad this year. Right. We would still be in the thick of it. And I don't see it getting any better. Tampa Bay, I mean, I think they're going to be the division winners at the end of the day. But, I mean, Tom Brady is on his last leg. I mean, obviously, we know he keeps saying that and he keeps playing. But Tampa Bay now is not what they were. Their offense is struggling. Now, they may get it together, but they are not right now this juggernaut team. The Saints are not that good of a team. I mean, they're one of the teams we beat. Granted, they were beat up, but they don't look all that good. The Falcons, they've probably looked the most surprising out of anybody, and they're
going to win the division. I think the Falcons are going to win the division. They look like the best team. Their roster's probably not the most talented, but they look like the best team.
Exactly. So they very could well make a run, and no disrespect to them because they're obviously better than us right now, but I mean, they're not necessarily world beaters. So the Panthers are in no way, shape, or form in a spot where they need to trade everybody. It makes no sense. If this goes out like a perfect scenario, if the Panthers draft a quarterback and they get a head coach that is decent, this team next year could easily make a run for the division and make a wild card spot. Easily. Right. Yeah, this team is talented. I've never understood that. And I would be extremely upset if they traded Christian McCaffrey, which I don't think is going to happen now. But if they traded some of these guys for just lowball offers for nothing, just to get guys, like the guys that they have that are young are good. It's not like they're busts. They're good young players who would be better with better coaching.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Like I was saying, you get a quarterback, you get a coach, and then like you were saying, the defense is just fine. You get these couple of pieces that are big, huge cornerstone pieces of your franchise, your head coach and your quarterback. This team's going to have a shot to do something. Probably not immediately, but like you said, the rest of the division's not exactly crushing it right now. There's no reason you couldn't have a good offseason and be competitive next year. Maybe not, competing for the playoffs, but competitive.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but I will disagree with you on one thing. If the right offer came for Christian McCaffrey, it makes sense to trade him to me. And I say that because of this. What we're talking about is going to take at least 2 to 3 years probably to fully come into fruition. Obviously, it would be great to have the ultimate weapon in Christian McCaffrey for a young quarterback. We talk about it all the time. Christian McCaffrey's such a chess piece. You can move him all over the field. He's an elite player. He's such a game changer when he's on the field. But we know durability's been an issue for him. And the shelf life on these running backs is not typically very long. So you fast forward 2-3 years, he could be getting to, at the very least, the end of his prime. And then he just kind of fades away right as your next franchise quarterback is coming into a place where he's ready to start hitting the ground running, start winning some games. It's almost like you wasted his entire career and got nothing in return for it.
I don't disagree. I think that if the right offer comes along, you should always look. My thing is that I don't think they're going to get an offer that is worthy of it. I don't want the Panthers to give away Christian McCaffrey for a late second-round pick to the Bills. That's a horrible deal.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It would have to be at least a first-round pick.
I would entertain a late first-round pick. I understand that it's, running back for some of these teams that are competing, a late first-round pick is not the end of the world to them. And to have an elite talent like him, a late first-round pick, and then maybe like a mid-round pick, that's something that you would consider.
If I'm a Bills fan, I'm ecstatic to get that deal. If it happened, but I would want more than that too.
Yeah,
I'd hate to see him go.
Yeah, it would suck to see him go. My only thing is that if you get the right guy in here, if you get the right coach, and it report came out today from Jonathan Jones that Tepper is looking to get a offensive minded guy, which
Right.
we don't know if he'll hire the right guy, but at least his head is in the right direction. Let's say, for instance, you get the quarterback, you get an offensive minded guy. I'm telling you, can be used in ways that can prolong his career. The fact that he hasn't been used the same way Deebo Samuel has is extremely infuriating. And the fact that they want to run him like a bell cow running back is nonsense. I get he needs to touch the ball, but to me, there's a difference between touching the ball and quality of touches. He could be getting way better quality of touches with a better game plan designed around him, where he could be in the slot, he could be two running backs in the backfield. I mean, there's so many things that you can do that the Panthers haven't really done that I think if you had the right guy in there, you could prolong his career and prolong his abilities in a way that you're not seeing right now just because they're going to run the ball to McCaffrey 25 times a game. And, I mean, he's going to look good, but he could look even better when put in better positions, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
agree with that. 100%, man. I think about that all the time. How you could, mix up your personnels to where, he goes and lines up outside, then you bring him inside, and move him outside. However you want to do it, just to create mismatches with him on linebackers and safeties. And I don't understand why you're not doing that every play. Just about. I mean, it seems like it'd be so easy just to create mismatches with him, where he could get the ball in space. It seems like they make it so much harder than it has to be. Like you said, trying to make him a bell cow type of running back. If you're going to ground and pound, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, I don't know why you wouldn't just use Deontay Foreman for that, which they do a little bit, but definitely, if you're going to make one of your running backs do that type of thing, it makes a lot more sense to give the ball to him rather than beat up McCaffrey the way they do. But McCaffrey's also a very underrated running back in between the tackles. So I don't want to say
He
like
is.
I don't want to say like I don't get why they do it, because I get it. I mean, he's still good in between the tackles, but you're just getting him banged up and bruised up when, like you said, he could get much more quality touches than he gets right now if he had a coach who could put him in the right positions.
Just you look around the league at some of the better offenses, and let's start with, obviously, the Rams aren't what they were last year, but you see these offenses and they run, they don't necessarily hand the ball off the receiver on motions and sweeps all the time, but they run motions. Guys are running back and forth all the time. I mean, there's stuff happening that is creating mismatches, that is creating misdirections, that is creating all kinds of things that I don't understand why this stuff has not been implemented. I mean, we're not going to see it this year, obviously, but next season, with the right guy, there's just so many possibilities that you could run. I mean, you see the teams like the 49ers. I'm pretty sure every play they run on offense, there's a jet sweep almost like every play, or there's a motion every play. It doesn't have to be every play, but I mean, there's just the offensive failure is just, I know the quarterback is in there, but you've got guys that you can put in positions to do things and they're just not being put in there. It's horrible, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild because you think about the Panthers offense, um, between Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, Laviska Shenault, that's three guys who, to me, are comparable to Debo Samuel, and none of them are given the opportunities Debo Samuel's given when it comes to, I don't want to say the every, I mean, yeah, I guess the every down situations, man. Like Debo's always a threat to get the ball
Yeah.
and go score because, like you said, they bring him in motion. He comes on these reverses, sweeps like all day long. We don't really see that. I mean, McCaffrey gets the ball a lot, but even he, it just doesn't feel like he's set up right. But, like I said, DJ Moore, like, how could they not use him the same way Debo Samuel is used? he's such a similar player when it comes to running the ball, getting the ball in space, breaking tackles. And it's like they make getting him the ball so difficult, and it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I understand that we're having troubles at quarterback, but Jesus, I mean, do something. I mean, put him at running back and hand him the ball. I mean, do something. I mean, there's just no creativity in this offense. It's horrible. It's so bad. And it's really frustrating to, watch a team where you have a guy that we have a similar player like, where he's in the backfield, he's in the slot, he's out wide, he's under center. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do, and you just never see it. And it just, I don't understand. I don't understand. But
there's weapons everywhere, and there's just like, it's just so vanilla, and it's just like, how can you have all this talent and have no creativity, no way to get these guys the ball and make something happen? And I mean, even Robbie Anderson's gone now too, but it was the same thing with him. It was like his main thing was that he was a deep threat, and it was like, how often did we take shots to Robbie Anderson?
Never.
Almost
Hardly.
never.
I can't tell you the last time I saw a deep ball other than week one where he caught that touchdown.
Other than that, was the last 2 seasons. I think it's the only time Robbie Anderson's caught a deep ball.
Basically, yeah. And
so, I mean,
yeah, I haven't seen anything other than that. So, we could keep talking about this on and on, but at quarterback, I think Darnold's scheduled to come back this week. Is that right?
I know they say he's going to be. I don't see it, but maybe.
Dude, give me Jacob Eason. Like, why not?
Dude, literally, why not? That is the only argument you need for Jacob Eason right now.
That's it. I mean, all you can say.
Literally, he could not be worse than what we've seen this season. It does not matter what he did. He came in and threw what? He completed 3 passes. He threw 5 passes. One of them got intercepted. I don't know, man. In those 3 completions, I saw a lot more zip on the ball than I've seen from any other quarterback all year.
Dude, I saw way more. And please, God, let me rephrase. I am not saying Jacob Eason is the answer to our problems. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in the 3 throws that he made, the mechanics and the zip on the ball was a lot better than anything I've seen Baker Mayfield do or PJ Walker do this year. And that's saying a lot. 3 passes. And he threw a pick. Who cares? The game's over. Just try to force a throw. It doesn't matter. Why not start this guy?
Like,
just give him a chance.
Literally, it sounds so stupid to sit here and say that. Like, I get that sounds stupid, but literally, like, how could he be any worse? How could he be any worse than what we've seen this year?
I mean,
look at PJ's average, 3.8 yards per completion.
Hey, it's almost like
that'd be bad for a running back.
In the 2 games that PJ won as a starter, I mean, by no means was he like a world beater, but he wasn't even that bad. But damn, dude, he was bad yesterday. Like, he was bad. It was weird. Like, they didn't let him throw the ball, and the one time they tried to like air it out, like it was the worst pass ever, and they're like, nope, we're not doing that. It's like, what do you have to lose? Fucking throw it up there. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
That's something else. I think fans were so frustrated with what they saw from the Panthers on offense. But first of all, Steve Wilkes is like a very defensive-minded, old-school conservative coach as it is, like in like the John Fox mold.
Correct.
He was trying to ground and pound his way to a win. And, for a quarter and a half, it looked like it might work. Or for the first half, it looked like it might work. But at the end of the day, your offense has to get first downs. And it's very tough to get first downs when you're not throwing the ball more than 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, I wasn't super, like, frustrated with what I saw. Like, I saw a lot of fans talking, like, online about how Wilkes ain't it and this and that. I mean, first of all, Wilkes isn't even going to get a real shot at this job no matter what anyone says.
No.
I mean, he's just going to be there till the season's over. But, I mean, what do you expect the guy to do? He's going in with his 4th string quarterback. We all know he's not good. Everybody who's a fan of this team knows PJ Walker's not good. Yeah, that was by far the worst game he's had as, a quarterback for the Panthers. But with that being said, we all know he's not good. Why would we expect Steve Wilkes to go out there and turn him into some superstar quarterback who's going to air it out? You should not have been surprised by what you saw yesterday.
You know what really absolutely breaks my heart though?
Hmm.
Is that this would be the ultimate opportunity for Matt Corral.
Dude, I know.
It's so painful, like, to think about that.
That was something I kind of pointed out, Tanner, on Twitter. If we, all right, so let's go in our brains for a second and jump into our time machine back to the preseason, right? When we're watching Matt Corral out there, what were we saying? Holy cow, he's out there with all of the worst players on the roster. He's out there with all these guys who are not even close to NFL players with no plan to help him succeed. He's going to die out there. Fast forward 2 more games, he gets hurt being out there with those guys who can't block for anything. They're clearly seeing him out there with no plan at all, just calling random plays and letting him try to figure it out. I feel like they were almost trying to make it hard on him so he could like see what the NFL can be like instead of trying to put him in a situation where he could succeed. Anyway, he ends up getting hurt. Well, now we could really use him. And because he was so terribly mismanaged in the preseason, when you didn't really worry about how he was going to do because you said, well, we have 2 quarterbacks ahead of him and PJ Walker, it doesn't matter if he struggles. He'll be fine. These are growing pains. We won't need him till next season. Well, now we need him, and he got hurt because he was so horribly mismanaged. It's just that's the type of shit that is why Matt Rule is fired right now. Like,
I almost like, I know he had a Lisfranc injury. Like, is there any way that he could be like, you know what, screw it, I'm playing this year?
No.
Is there any way he could just be like, I feel like they shut him down. They're like, yeah, we're not going to need you this year. And then he's like, oh shit, I actually could play. Like, let me get out there.
Well, I guess I can't say that, but I guess I can say that. You got to wonder if maybe he could have come back this year, but they put him on IR because Matt Rule needed his boy PJ Walker to make the roster one more year.
Just horrible. Yeah. So this is it sucks for Matt Corral because, next year we're, top 3, top 5, where we're going to be picking a quarterback. There's no doubt.
He ain't getting his opportunity, bro.
And he's not going to get an opportunity. It really sucks for him because I know a lot of people had high hopes. We had high hopes, and he's not going to. I doubt he's can win a competition against a top 5 pick because people are going to be pushing for that guy to start and play. So I really hate it for him.
If nothing else, it would be like a Jimmy Clausen, Cam Newton thing where it's like, he's technically the starter until 2 weeks into the preseason. Everyone sees, what's standing behind him, and there's no way he could possibly keep going out there as the starting quarterback.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, maybe he can carve out a role as a good backup on our team. But we'll see about, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it really sucks for him. For that happening, but is, we've obviously Matt Rule being fired. We've had all this stuff come out about the brand and he's one of us, OOU, and all this stuff, and talking about like Matt Rule was in charge of social media and what was on the team's thing and what wasn't, and just really like bizarre stuff that like I've never heard a head coach like be fired for. Like I've heard head coaches be fired for like personnel decisions, like, hey, he wanted to roll with this guy and they want to roll with this guy and it didn't work out, they fired him. But I've never heard someone be like, yeah, dude, he didn't want us posting him on social media, so we had to fire him. It's just like little things like that. I know that's not why they fired him, but just little things like that are very like bizarre to me. I've never heard anything like that before.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, damn, Kim Jong-Rule over here, propagandist at work, controlling what his people see. Crazy.
Yeah, it just
never heard anything like that before, man.
Never. And this whole we're going to build this, we're going to build that. I mean, okay, yeah, that stuff's nice and fine, but there was no X's and O's there with this guy, none. And
Well,
yeah,
the thing is, when you're a college coach, you can be just a rah motivator type of coach who can galvanize his team with speeches and don't beat ourselves signs on the practice field. And you push your guys enough and you get them to buy into what you're doing and to believe in you and believe in the day-to-day grind and, believe in each other and all that stuff. You can win in college like that. You can win 7-8 games every year in college like that. I mean, look at a college schedule. You're really only playing a competitive game 3 or 4 times a year if you're at a good program.
yeah,
So, I mean, David Tepper just got conned, man. This dude just had no business being in the NFL. And once, that initial program building phase thing that he was doing fizzled out, and people caught on to how the Panthers play offense, play defense, they just didn't stand a chance because everybody else was evolving and making adjustments and figuring out what they need to do to win or to, out scheme the Panthers. And the Panthers just never changed anything. And if you go back the last couple of years, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know at one point last year they showed us the difference between like the first half and then like the third quarter point differential. And the Panthers were like negative, like, some crazy number, 60, 80 points or whatever
yeah.
it was, that teams were going in at halftime, making adjustments and just coming out and steamrolling the team because they didn't make adjustments on their side. And, you can't be that rah kind of guy in the NFL if that's all you bring to the table.
Yeah, you can't just give a speech at halftime and be like, hey, we got to do this. We can't beat ourselves. No more penalties. I'm like, okay, that's nice to say the halftime report to the sideline reporter, but you better be grabbing a damn clipboard or a Microsoft Surface and getting in there and drawing something up and figuring out what's going on. But yeah, it just incredibly frustrating. But, I will say this, Tepper got conned and he was made to look kind of like an idiot at that press conference he did. It was kind of nice seeing him get grilled there for a little bit, but I don't think Tepper is. It's tough to say this, but I don't think he's dumb. Obviously, he's not dumb. He came in and he kind of admitted this in that press conference. Is like, yes, he was a minority owner of the Steelers, but he was a fan. He was like, I'm a fan. I'm a rich guy. Like, oh, I can buy this team. Like, I'll buy this team. And I want to be the cool guy on the block. I want to, the first year, everybody thought Tepper was super cool. He was doing stuff that Jerry Richardson wasn't doing. He was talking to fans. He was out of the doghouse at the game. He was doing all, he was having fun until it came time to make, real football decisions. And he just got it wrong. And I think Tepper's the type of guy where obviously if he's made to look like a fool in front of anybody, he's not going to take it well. And he's going to be pissed. And I think that could be to his benefit down the road when it comes to this new coaching regime and, having Fitterer or whoever he brings in to help do that search as opposed to just saying, you know what, I got this, man. I'm the richest center in the NFL. I can do this. He got humbled, and a lot of times that is the best thing that you can do whenever you come in on your high horse like that, to get off and get humbled and get back on track.
Yeah, Tepper gets a lot of blame from the fans right now, as he should, because he, obviously was the one who brought Matt Rule in, and it's been a disaster. But I personally don't give him too much blame because, like you said, man, he was brand new at this. He didn't really know what he was doing. This is going to be what defines him, not that. That was a rookie owner making a rookie mistake. Not a rookie, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Making a mistake. His first time ever hiring a head coach. If he gets this right, this next head coach right, and then the whole front office gets the offseason right, I think he'll be okay.
Oh yeah, people won't care about Matt Rule anymore. It'll be a figment of your imagination.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love for him to be a figment of my imagination.
Yeah, because winning cures all, man. Good.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say that I hope he's smart enough, and I think he is after he messed up so bad last time. I think he's smart enough to lean into Scott Fitterer and Dan Morgan and let them figure it out.
Yeah.
Dan Morgan was heavily involved, with the Bills rebuild. Scott Fitterer was heavily involved with what the Seahawks did when they won a Super Bowl. So these guys have been around success. They should know what it looks like. They should be able to find a head coaching candidate that's able to bring wins to this team and able to build something. Especially like we said, with the talent they have on this roster, they're going to have a top 5 pick. There's going to be an opportunity to put some pieces in place. And hopefully David Tepper is smart enough to rely on his guys who know football.
Yeah, and
sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go and finish up.
I was just going to say, Scott Fitterer also has been getting a fair amount of blame from fans from what I've seen. I think it's a little too early to jump off the Fitterer bandwagon. I know some of these trades aren't looking so good in hindsight, but I think, again, we don't know how much of that was Matt Rule pulling strings, especially early on in Fitterer's tenure. Obviously, he didn't, he was walking into what was already here. So, we'll see. I feel in my gut like Fitterer knows what he's doing, even if some of these moves haven't looked great so far. But we'll see. I mean, obviously, if he doesn't get this right, that's gonna be his job next.
I think Fitterer gets it. I really do. I think, like you said, it's tough to determine what moves were his and what was Matt Rule's, because we know the Panthers were in a position the past 2 years where they needed a quarterback and they had to make a move. People say, oh, he made the trade for Sam Darnold. Okay, I understand that hindsight, it's a bad move, but at the time, what were the Panthers going to do? They had to do something. They had no other options. Coming into this season, they traded for Baker Mayfield. What was he really gonna do? They weren't gonna roll with Sam Darnold. They weren't gonna re-sign Cam Newton. They drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round who was not ready to play. I mean, he had to do something. And I will say that the Sam Darnold trade was the worst in terms of contract, but at least with the Mayfield trade, like, yeah, he sucked, but we didn't give up hardly anything to get the guy. We hardly paid him anything. I mean, if when we talked about this, there was 2 routes the Panthers could go. Either they were great and Baker Mayfield turned his career around and we got a guy, or they absolutely suck and he's not the guy. Well, at least we got our answer. He's not the guy. And you really didn't give up that much to get him or pay. So, he was put in tough positions, and I feel like he really, despite how bad they were, he lessened the blows a little bit, I would say.
Well, if you go back to that Sam Darnold trade, as soon as it happened, Matt Rule did an interview where he talked about, I remember his words were, we saw 1 or 2 plays a game and we said, there it is. There's got to be some meat on that bone. It was something like that. That was his quote. When talking about Sam Darnold, he said it was the defensive staff who were scouting Sam Darnold, and they said there's something there, which now I wonder how much of that was Phil Snow. But, that tells me that move probably had a lot to do with Matt Rule. And obviously at that point, like I said before, Fitterer was brand new. In the, walking into the job, I would imagine Rule had basically all control. We knew when he got hired that Tepper was giving him all control so he could build his, little dynasty.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, at this point, I'm just kind of glad the experiment is over because it was just like, you know, from the beginning of last year or halfway through last year, it was obvious that like this wasn't really going anywhere. You know what I mean? And that they were all just in way over their head. So now, I mean, it sucks that we're back at square one with this rebuilding thing, but at least that shit's over.
In my closing argument, I guess, or to make Panthers fans feel better before they go to bed tonight or whenever they watch this. Yes, the Panthers do suck. The Panthers are 1-5. However, this team is going to be in a very, very good position next year. I know right now it sucks. You're the laughing stock of the league. Everyone, it's easy to crap on the Panthers. That's fine. Look at this. In 2010, 2011, when we started this our first real rebuild, we really had no one. I mean, we had no one. Like there was on that team, the 2010 team, there was no one that really was there. Charles Johnson, I think that was about it. He was the only building block of a guy that was there.
Well, Steve Smith was still there.
Steve Smith was there. He was, he was kind of
Smash and Dash were there.
They were there. Okay. So you had a couple guys there. You had a couple guys.
But that's kind of my point. We had something there, and then we got Cam and Ron Rivera, and we quickly turned into at least a watchable football team.
Correct.
So there's no reason that can't happen next year.
To me, this team has even more talent than that 2010 team, and they're younger. And, I'm telling you, man, bring this team back. Obviously, there's a couple guys that won't be there, and then, make some solid moves throughout the offseason. You get that quarterback right, and you get that offensive-minded head coach right, and you bring in a decent coaching staff. I mean, dude, you don't even have to be great. You just need to be respectable. Bring in a new staff. You're going to bring in a new coach. You're going to bring in a young quarterback. This team has got talent. I know this team is not as bad as their record is. I know right now they suck. They're not playing well. They're with their fourth-string quarterback. Coaching staff's a mess. But I'm telling you, this team, it sucks now, but brighter days will be ahead. Just think next April when we're sitting here talking and the Panthers just picked Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or whoever the hell you want to pick. We're all going to be excited for next season. I know it sucks now, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light at the end of this tunnel. All right.
No, I agree with you. Tanner, because if you look at this team, what they have going for them is a couple of, good stars on offense in McCaffrey and Moore, assuming they're both still here. The defense is pretty good. The offensive line is finally coming together for the first time in 6 years. Yeah. You are literally a coach and a quarterback away from this team being able to compete on Sundays. Maybe not win, but compete on Sundays. So when this shit show is over, when this season and the final whistle blows in 2022, or I guess it'll be 2023 when the season ends. But when the final whistle blows, there is going to be reason to be excited about the Panthers' future.
Absolutely. Because if we get, you get a top 3 pick, don't forget, not only are you picking in the top 3 in the first round, you're picking top 3 in that second round. And there's a lot of good guys that are going to be in there. Rounds, you're picking early. There's going to be guys that are there. So the Panthers will be just fine. The best thing Steve Wilkes can do, and God knows I love him. He's a good man. He's a good coach. And I know he's trying to win. He's trying to do everything he can with this quarterback situation. But the best thing in hindsight after he's done is just try to get this team in the mindset that better days are coming. And fellas, I know it's tough, but just hold on and just keep your head down, keep grinding because it's going to get better. And just try to send this team in the right kind of mindset going into the offseason. That next year is going to be a lot better.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see if he's able to do that with everybody in the room kind of knowing he's probably not going to be back next year.
Yeah.
And, guys like DJ Moore, guys like Christian McCaffrey, they're so obviously frustrated. And they're such good players that are entering their prime. And I know they want to be somewhere they can win and contribute. So hopefully they'll be able to stick it out without going full Robbie Anderson and getting sent out of town.
I actually would be really excited if DJ Moore just like blew the fuck up just one day. Because he's just like super quiet, never says anything. I'd actually would be like, holy shit. Dude, I've been waiting to see that.
I've never seen that man show any kind of frustration in the last 5 years, however long it's been, until this year. And he looks pissed.
He does. He does look pissed. I would love to see
him. Honestly.
I'd love to see him go like full on, just like flip over a bleacher, throw a Gatorade, just rage. I'd be like, oh, okay, that's nice.
Just go Steve Smith and just start punching teammates.
Exactly. And also shout out to the offensive line, man. It's been the one unit that has gotten better each week. And, a lot of people were hard on Ekwonu at first. Kid's killing it, man. He's getting better.
Yeah.
He's getting better. The offensive line of the whole is gelling. And that offensive line is locked up for the next couple years. So those guys are going to be there. That's another good part, man. You come into next season, we could be coming into a situation where, hey, we need a rookie quarterback, but the offensive line is horrible and he gets killed.
Right.
That won't be the case. You're going to have a nice young quarterback who could potentially have an all-star running back and also get that very often in your top 3 picks.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Right as you brought that up. How often do you get the opportunity if you're a quarterback drafted at the top of the draft to walk into a situation where you have a good offensive line? Usually those guys are, walking into a situation where they're a dead man walking. So that's such a plus. That's such a big deal. And, like we said, a defense that's going to be good enough to keep you in ball games, good players around you. Just get through this season.
Just got to get through it. And I'm telling you, man, this is a better situation for a lot of coaches and young quarterbacks to walk into as opposed to some other teams that have been picking. Just look at what Trevor Lawrence walked into. Like, would you rather walk into that, or would you rather walk into what, hey, I got a pretty good offensive line, a solid defense, and a good running back. I'd much prefer that. It's not the worst scenario.
Absolutely.
So, but that's all I got. Panthers 1-5, probably will be 1-6 after we play the Bucks, but that's okay. I think we're wearing black uniforms finally. Thank God. The white uniforms, they got to go. Hide them forever.
Man, wearing black, we're probably going to win. Honestly, that's usually the one thing holding us back is the color of our uniforms.
At least we do get to see the black helmets at one point this year. It won't matter, but at least it'll look cool.
Yeah, it's not going to hit as hard when we're 1-7 wearing them.
It won't. But hey, when Jacob Eason's just throwing bombs on everybody, you might change your mind.
The most Panther thing that could happen is Jacob Eason or Sam Darnold comes back and takes over the team and wins just enough games to pick number 12.
Please no. That's part of the reason I don't want Darnold to come back is because
I don't either, dude.
Because I know he can make some
PJ
plays
the rest of the year, dude. PJ is our starting quarterback. I need that top pick.
As much as it sucks to sit there and watch it, like it's what best. Like 2 weeks ago,
I was what for 3 years in a row we've talked about how the Panthers need to just get a franchise quarterback, lose until they get a franchise quarterback. But instead, they've done this stupid little shit they've been doing where they're trading for this guy, trading for that guy, signing this guy. Just go out there and lose for one season and get yourself a franchise quarterback. Otherwise, you're picking number 9 every year and you're drafting decent defensive tackles or like whatever. All right, we get good guys, but that's not the point. The point is you got to tank for a quarterback. That's just how it is.
Hey, man, if I'm anyone on offense like DJ Moore and McCaffrey, I'm going up to McAdoo and be like, dude, Just kneel the ball every play. I don't care.
No, you're going up to McAdoo and saying, "Keep doing what you're doing.
Just actually keep doing what you're doing. Do
Keep
it more.
doing exactly what you're doing. This is the way. This
Be
is what
like,
we
look,
need right
it's
now."
tough now on me mentally and physically, but if I get a guy that can throw me the ball next year, I will look back on this and say, dang, I'm glad I stuck it through.
Every game, you just got to think CJ Stroud.
Hey, you never know. So, all right. Well, that's all we got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in with us here on Primetime Carolina, breaking down all the good and fun Panthers news. Robbie Anderson, hope you're enjoying it out there in Arizona, man. Weather's probably pretty good over there right now, but hey.
Enjoy the cactuses.
And hey, him and D Hop, man, we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, it's a fun little combo right there, man.
So, all right, guys, we will see you next time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We're so close to hitting 600 subs. If we could just get there, that'd be great. We'll see.
Thanks, guys. Peace out. Keep pounding. Keep losing.